배움을 넘어 꿈을 현실로 만들기 위한 학생들의 도전이 이어지고 있습니다. 내일의 날을 준비하고 있는 학생들의 힘찬 미래를 응원합니다. 이 캠페인은 다 함께 미래로 앞서가는 부산교육, 부산광역시 교육청이 함께합니다.
아직 어렵게 느껴지는 영어. 아이들 영어는 어떻게 챙기시나요? 부산영어방송이 준비한 어린이 영어 콘텐츠 세상. BFM 키즈 영상 채널이 여러분을 찾아갑니다. 샘 해밍턴과 윌 벤저스 그리고 모모랜드 낸시가 함께하는 BFM 키즈에서 영어로 듣는 부산 설화와 전래동화, 재밌는 파닉스 영어, 신나는 K-팝 영어까지 만나보세요. 우리 아이의 영어 실력과 창의력을 쑥쑥 키워줄 특별한 어린이 영어 채널 BFM 키즈가 여러분을 기다립니다. 지금 바로 BFM 키즈를 검색하고 구독해주세요.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The Group of 20, better known as the G20. The G20 summit just wrapped up in Johannesburg, South Africa, after a two-day run. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa presented the event as a triumph for multilateralism, but other entities, they say it was marred because it was boycotted by the U.S., which has repeatedly accused South Africa of discriminating against white minority Afrikaners. On the other hand, South Korea was confirmed to take on the presidency of the G20 in 2028, after the U.S. in 2026, and then the UK in 2027. So we're going to dig deeper into everything that happened. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, November 24th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and are ready to start our Monday morning together. So here we go. The G20 summit happened this weekend, but it was a G20 without all 20 nations. So I don't know. Should we call it a G20 this time around? Anyhow, the global summit in South Africa was attended by South Korean President Lee Jae-myung among many other world leaders. So here, President Lee called for stability in trade and investment by recovering the function of the World Trade Organization, the WTO, to boost cooperation for growth in the developing world. The developing world was a core concept given that this was the first ever G20 in Africa, and leaders here adopted a declaration on the first day, a rare move of multilateral cooperation. The declaration focuses on the seriousness of climate change and seeks to resolve several geopolitical conflicts. Specifically, the summit says that the organization will work for a comprehensive and lasting peace in Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the occupied Palestinian territory, and Ukraine. But this declaration was made without one major player, the United States. U.S. President Donald Trump pulled the U.S. out of the summit on largely discredited allegations that the South African government has been persecuting its white minority. So roughly in Korean, I looked it up in Korean. 미국은 남아프리카가 백인 소수 민족인 아프리카너를 차별한다고 거듭 비난하면서 이를 보이콧을 했다고 합니다. The White House also called the declaration shameful. Other notable absences in Johannesburg: President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Xi Jinping of China. So this goes down in history as a first G20 where the leaders of the U.S., China, and Russia all missing. They were all absent. Multilateralism, so we're talking about 다자주의, was a core concept this past weekend, with leaders emphasizing multilateral cooperation for the developing world. That was a key phrase. In fact, President Lee also emphasized this at the meeting of MIKTA, M-I-K-T-A, Mexico, Indonesia, Korea, Turkey, and Australia, pledging to enhance cooperation to face global changes. But will this multilateralism be possible when three of the biggest countries in the world are taking a more unilateral approach? That's the big question. So that's the task coming out of South Africa after the G20 this weekend, one that we'll be watching as the next host of the G20 will be the United States. And looking even further ahead, like I just mentioned in the opening, South Korea just announced that it will host the G20 in 2028 with President Lee Jae-myung as a chair. How will the world change in the next few years? What new and old challenges will face the world as we race towards 2028? And these are the questions that we will leave behind as the G20 has just wrapped up. So that's the big topic that we are addressing today. But in the meantime, we're going to head to our text topic. You know, we love talking about food here on Morning Wave in Busan. That's our favorite topic, right? But we're going to go in the opposite direction today. We're going to talk about food or cooking methods that you cannot stand and talk about things like watery ramen. 싫어요. Overcooked meat. Or mushy anything. 자, 물 많은 라면. Or maybe you like that, but I really cannot stand that. 아니면 진밥, 너무 익힌 소고기. 좋아하시는 분이 있을까요? 근데 저는 물 많으면 라면 like 너무 익힌 라면? 근데 또 좋아하시는 분이 있더라고요. 혹은 이런 얘기 많이 들었는데 on the board like 물에 들어가는 닭 싫어하시는 분 생각보다 많더라고요. Oh, I heard over there. Yes. 내가 못 참는 음식 조리법은? So we're going to talk about all the things that you detest, things that you cannot stand. Let's hear them today. 좋아하는 거 말고 싫어하는 거. Well, today's your day. You can vent. Send them all in to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform. Type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find us. Yes, find our channel. You can subscribe, log in, chat with our other waivers. From your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also chat with us on our Kakao Talk as well. Find our account first. Type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 and add us as a friend. And then you can, send in your photos too. Send in photos of things that you hate. It's that kind of day. It's Monday morning. We need some way to get through this day. And today was that morning where our producer, I heard her before I saw her, the begrudgingly, slapping her way, sledging her way into the morning because it was Monday morning. And the way you can tune into our program, 90.5, 103.3 FM here in Busan. If you're listening on the radio, like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. If you haven't checked us out, it is very fun to do so because we have a very lively chat board, but you don't have to participate. If you don't want to, you can just tune in quietly. That's fine as well. You can also check out the BFM app, download it. It's free. Also the Popbang app as well. Looking ahead to our Monday morning together, we have Michael Kang coming in for Cultural Interlude. In hour number 2, we have Claire. And then for our special interview today, we have today for our topic, the escalating tensions between Japan and China. Why is this important? Because these are two of our most important neighbors. And yes, this does very much involve us because once again, we are talking about multilateralism just a little while ago involving the G20. So we're going to take a good look at this and how this might affect us as well. That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:09 and this is News Overview. South Korea confirmed to host the 2028 G20. President Lee Jae-myung announced that South Korea will host the Group of 20 or G20 summit in 2028 and pledged a profound sense of responsibility to strengthen the forum's role in global economic cooperation. President meets with leaders of Japan and China and reaffirms cooperation. President Lee Jae-myung sat down with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and Chinese Premier Li Qiang, respectively, to reaffirm his commitment to deepening cooperation with the neighboring countries on the sidelines of the G20 summit. Choguk back as leader of Rebuilding Korea Party. Former Justice Minister Choguk has been elected back as a leader of minor Rebuilding Korea Party yesterday in a landslide 98.6% victory following his pardon and reinstatement earlier this year. Korean won's real effective exchange rate at 16-year low. The South Korean won's real effective exchange rate, or REER, sank to the lowest level in about 16 years as of the end of October. U.S., Ukraine, and EU hold talks in Geneva over Ukraine peace plan. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says a tremendous amount of progress has been made in talks to finalize a Ukraine peace deal in Geneva, attended by delegates from the U.S., Ukraine, and European allies. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now Busan. We have Sejin in the studio. Good morning.
Morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
I watched The Wicked for good.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
And how was it?
It was better than I expected.
Good,
My
good.
friend insisted me to go to there.
Oh, to watch?
Yes.
Very good. Hey, so for our text topic today, we're talking about food that you don't like or a certain method of cooking. So what might that be?
I'm not so happy about soggy and muggy bread.
Oh, because...
So yeah, it does my head in. So if you want to make me mad, then you can give me the bread that is soggy.
Oh, so what about if I gave you a soggy sandwich?
That's illegal. That's illegal.
Illegal.
Yes, illegal.
Oh. So how do you make a sandwich that is not soggy? Because, after a while, don't sandwiches turn soggy? Do you have like a secret way?
Yeah, so if I'm using focaccia, then it's not supposed to be like crispy. So baguette needs to be crispy.
Yes.
But then if I expect that bread is supposed to be soggy, then I would use focaccia. So if I stay long outside, then I would use focaccia instead of the baguette.
I see. So particular about her bread. Yes, I get it. We get it. You are a connoisseur of like bread and sandwiches. So
Yes.
we're going to jump into our first story. The construction timeline for the Gadeokdo new airport has officially been extended, and Busan City is not happy about this.
Not happy about it. Busan City criticized the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport for its decision to extend Gadeokdo new airport construction period from the 84-month to 106-month, calling it a self-contradictory decision. Mayor Park Hyung-jun said the ministry set the 18-month period after expert discussions and sufficient review in 2023, yet deciding on 106 months without scientific justification is a self-contradictory decision. He added that people in Busan are deeply disappointed and urged the ministry to push the remaining steps quickly to ensure the construction can begin as quickly as possible.
Right, and I hear that he also left comments regarding the government's task. Is that correct?
Yep, he said the government's task now is to begin construction of the airport as soon as possible and put the project back on track, adding, "We must now end all unproductive debates and look to the future." He also pushed for quick bidding procedures on building a safe and high-quality southern hub airport comparable to the capital one, and adopting the latest technologies to bring forward the opening date as much as possible.
Yes, and he even said opening the airport a year earlier accelerates regional development by 10 years.
Yes, he also said that he will work with the ministry to use existing designs and innovative construction methods to bring the opening forward by at least 1 year. He explained the project has been stalled for 7 months since Hyundai Construction Consortium withdrew from the bidding in April. It was supposed to open in late 2029, in line with Busan World Expo bid, but repeated delays now push it past 2035, more than 6 years later.
Yes. So I guess that means residents in the southern region who have been using Incheon International Airport due to the lack of long-haul routes will have to face prolonged inconveniences. So not great news, but, we're going to have to be extra patient. Well, Sejin, Busan's rolling out a new kind of support for people hit by long-term rent scams. We're talking about 전세 scams, but this one's a bit different from the usual financial aid, I hear.
Yep, Busan City is going to fund repair work for homes that was left unattended because of 전세 scam. They have announced a new program to improve facilities in damaged buildings. Up until now, support mainly focused on financial or housing aid for tenants, like rental subsidies and housing stability payment. But this is the first time the city is directly supporting the restoration or renovation or repairs for the buildings themselves.
Yes. And so this is because some of these places have basically been abandoned. Is that correct?
Exactly. After being accused of the fraud, they disappeared and remained out of touch, and many buildings left unattended for a long time.
Right.
And tenants have been left dealing with all the inconvenience. The city decided to provide up to 20 million won per building to fix shared spaces that need urgent safety work. It applies to buildings where the landlord is missing or unreachable, and restoration is urgent, and where more than 30% of residents are long-term rent victims.
So it's quite targeted support. And how can people apply for this program?
The resident representatives of affected buildings just need to apply through the city or their local district office. The support is based on the Special Act and Busan's own Tenant Protection Ordinance. A city official said the budget is currently under review by the city council, and they hope it will pass as well as they'd hoped to help victims next year.
I see. So anything to help people who fall victim to these scams is a good thing. All right, next up, Sajin, let's talk about Busan's 15-minute city project, which has picked up some major recognition overseas. Not just one award, but 2 awards.
Yeah, Busan's 15-minute city has won 2 titles at the LiveCom Award, the international awards for livable communities, including the Gold Prize. The city says it took home the Gold Prize in overall city category and the Criteria Award for sustainable planning and management.
Wow, so this isn't just any competition, so it's one with some serious international weight.
Yes, LiveCom Awards is a global international competition that began in 1997 and evaluates good policies that cities around the world implement implemented is all about improving quality of life.
Yes, and this year's competition, it was pretty crowded. It was very competitive.
Yes, 52 countries submitted 281 entries and 30 cities made it to the finals. The final round was held in Istanbul, Turkey on the 18th and wrapped up on the 21st. And the city competed against the major cities such as Vienna in Austria, São Paulo in Brazil, and come out with the gold prize. And for planning and management, they got the highest score among all finalist cities, winning the Criteria Award. So 2 awards in one go.
So why did the judges rate Busan so highly? Because we love our city, but, the fact that we were worth the top prize, right?
Yes, Busan has been emphasizing a shift from development-oriented policies and practices toward citizen-centered or pedestrian-focused planning. Judges highly praise its sustainability work and fresh policies for the new senior generation.
I see. So congratulations to our city on winning these prizes. All right, next up, there is some new support coming in for elderly drivers across the country, and Busan's included.
Yes, Korea Transportation Safety Authority, OTS, are now giving out pedal misapplication prevention devices for free to drivers aged 65 or over in 7 big cities around the country, including Busan and Ulsan. And the goal here is really about preventing serious accident for senior drivers.
Okay.
The device controls sudden acceleration and prevents cars from suddenly shooting forward when you're standing still or moving slowly.
Oh, and they've already tested this one out, I've heard. Is that correct?
Right. During the first 3-month pilot, including 141 senior drivers, they spotted 71 suspected misapplication cases, and the device managed to block them effectively.
Oh.
So it clearly helped, which is why they are now expanding it. They are distributing the device to 730 drivers across 7 big cities from the 1st of December.
Yes, and how can people apply for this?
People can apply either by post or in person to the nearest TS regional office between December 1st to the 19th, along with the application form, driving license, and car registration. You can download the application form online or pick it up at local police stations or TS regional offices. An official said it should help elderly drivers stay safe and protect their lives.
Yes, and not just their lives, everybody's lives. So this is a great idea. I hope it is more widespread. Thanks for all the local news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody, this was Sejin. I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now 7:22. It's time for your traffic report. Unfortunately, there are a few accidents to report on. First up, on the Gwangan Bridge, the top portion, there is an accident. So please be aware of this. Next up, there is an accident on Luno Samsung-daero from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge in that direction on the bridge, but it's cleared. It's been cleared, but there's still backup because of it. So please be aware of that as well. There's a broken down vehicle on the Kaya overpass toward the Pyeongyang tunnel at the end of the tunnel. And also congestion on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyang ramp to the old Kaegum toll gate. Currently, it is 10 degrees Celsius under partially cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 18 degrees, slightly warmer than yesterday. Across the nation, light rain across the capital area, but there is a dry air special report issued across the eastern coast of Gangwon and Gyeongbuk. So please be careful, especially when handling open flames. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, we twin again.
We are twinning.
And by the way, thank you so much for the water.
Oh, yeah.
I was fine. And then there's a dry air alert in the studio. Because
Where's
I don't
the
know what
KMA?
happened. Yes. Hey, so how was your trip?
It was really good. It was very relaxing. I took like 30,000. Okay, it was relaxing, but then I walked a lot and then ran. But I swear, it was relaxing.
Was that per day or for the whole
It was per
trip?
day. It was per day. My full day, my single full day, 30,000 steps. Friday and Sunday are half days, 20,000. So, you know.
My eye twitched hearing 30,000 per day. I thought it was for the whole trip.
No. Yeah. Someone has a problem.
So I want your take because I saw the beautiful photos of all the delicious food that you had with your family. But what is the type of food that you cannot stand?
Okay, so you know the watery ramen.
Yes.
I'm okay with mushy textures because I like not chewing as much. That's fine. And then though, weird take when they give you lemon when it should be lime.
Oh.
I know limes are expensive, but then I don't know. I feel like the places that have lime, they're usually expensive too, or like the cuisines that serve like Thai food or Mexican food. I'm like, well, you guys are costing me an arm and a leg anyway.
True.
Where's my green citrus? I want my green citrus instead of the yellow. Yeah.
Well, I have a comment from 고수님 who says, 두 분도 깔맞춤 하셨네요. 두 분 같이 사신다고는 설이 있어요. Are we roommates?
Maybe. Am I the roommate?
Are you the one that tried to kill me?
Maybe. Is that the case?
You try to murder me? Okay. Well, we got to get serious. Top stories. First, President Lee Jae-myung is on the final leg of his diplomatic trip and gave an interview with a Turkish outlet on issues pertaining to South Korea.
Right. So this multilateralism part of the diplomatic trip is more or less over. He is now in Turkey or Turkey, where where the outlet Turkey is Anadolu, released an interview done earlier via print and when President Lee spoke about the unification of the two Koreas. So Lee said that unification, 통일, is still the ultimate, the final goal, not just an ideal, but a duty that's laid out in South Korea's constitution.
Right.
However, Lee said that the government will not pursue this unilateral, one-sided unification, but the one that happens will reflect the democratic will of all the people of the Korean peninsula. And then Lee Jae-myung also said that this unification would be done in steps for peaceful coexistence and mutual development.
So that is the ultimate long-term goal. What about specific North Korea policies?
Right. Here, President Lee doubled down on the END initiative, END, which he introduced at the United Nations General Assembly this past September.
Right.
This stands for E, exchange, N, normalization, and D, denuclearization. So he assessed that the Korean Peninsula is facing this grave challenge because all the communication channels between South and North Korea have been severed. So resuming talks will be the top priority for the administration.
Yes. So the president also spoke about the nuclear issue from South Korea's end.
Because that's become an issue of interest recently with the whole issue of the nuclear-powered submarines approved by the United States. So here he reiterated that South Korea will abide by the Non-Proliferation Treaty, 핵확산 금지 조약, meaning South Korea will not develop its own nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Instead, South Korea, he said, is boosting deterrence with the United States to respond to North Korea's nuclear threats.
That's right. So we're going to leave that story there. We're going to move on to our next story. The special counsel probing the Marines' death investigation has made some major indictments.
Right. So again, reminder, we have 3 major special counsel investigations and now trials going on into the previous administration. This is the 3rd Lee Myung-han special counsel that's been investigating the Yoon Suk-yeol administration's alleged meddling into the investigation into the death of Marine Corporal Che. And then this past Friday, it made mass indictments, meaning it pressed charges against including former President Yoon Suk-yeol, and this comes 142 days into its investigation.
Yes.
So former President Yoon faces charges of obstruction of justice, abuse of authority, and invalidity or destruction of public documents. The special counsel also indicted 11 others accused of having allegedly taken part in the interference, including former National Security Advisor Cho Tae-yong and former Defense Minister Lee Dong-seop, amongst others.
Right. So Haley, can you walk us through the particular case?
Right. Let's go back to July 19th of 2023, which is when this young Marine Corporal Ted died in this rescue mission in the river. He got swept up. Turns out he didn't know how to swim, and they were not given safety equipment, including life vests.
Yes.
So the Marine investigation team named 8 people and included former Division Commander Im Sung-gun as suspects. Former Defense Minister Lee Jong-sup, he signed off on it. But then a few days later, July 31st, during a National Security Council meeting, President Yoon learned about this and expressed his outrage, leading the then defense minister to allegedly order the investigation team to change the results of that investigation. However, the commander of that investigation team refused to change the results, and because of that, Commander Park Jong-un was charged with insubordination, leading to his dismissal and arrest.
Right, and this is a point. This is where the special counsel pressed charges.
Right, because as I've walked you through at least the line of events that the special counsel has laid out, this seems to have been an organized attempt to change the results of an investigation. So the special counsel said, again, this was an organized crime by the defense ministry upon orders from the former president, calling it a grave power-based crime.
Yes, indeed. And so that's where we are on that case. All right, and next, the advent of DNA analysis has made it possible for the police to reopen and actually get to the bottom of cold cases. So this story is of one such case.
Right, and it's something out of like a serial, like a detective show, but this is a 20-year-old cold case, and this is what we call 미제 사건, so unsolved cases. The cases have gone cold. Finally, hot and then solved after relentless work by the police for 2 decades. So Seoul Metropolitan Police on Friday announced that they've identified the suspect in the so-called Sinjeongdong serial killer case.
Oh, so you said this case happened 20 years ago. Well, tell us about the case.
Right, and I do have to warn you, because of the nature of the story, there are going to be some graphic content. So in June and then November of 2005, 2 women separately were found dead on residential streets of Sinjeongdong in Yangcheongu District, Seoul. Strangulation was the cause of death, and commonality, they both had black plastic bags over their heads. They were also tied up. The police back then formed a dedicated team and investigated the case for 8 years. But then without any concrete leads, the case went cold in 2013.
Okay, so how did they get reopened?
That's because 3 years later, 2016, Seoul Police formed a dedicated team for cold cases. And, they had received some media reports and calls on it. But then in 2016, again in 2020, they asked the National Forensic Service to re-examine evidence.
Okay.
Breakthrough. They found DNA matching both cases. So at that point, they knew this was a serial killer case perpetrated by the same person. They also found sand on both bodies. This led them to, and I use this so loosely, narrow down 230,000 people who worked in construction in the area back in 2005.
Okay, narrow down is loosely used, right? 230,000 doesn't sound very narrow to me.
Even 230
right.
is a huge suspect pool.
Right.
All right, so this is why it took such deliberation and dedication, relentlessness.
Yes.
So they actually wound up comparing the DNA samples to over 1,500 people, 1,500.
Okay.
No such luck. But then, given how long the case was, how long ago it was, they actually took a turn and they were like, wait, what if the suspect is already dead? Right, because again, 20 years ago.
Right.
And here they matched the DNA to a man who was in his 60s back then, 20 years ago, who worked in a building maintenance crew in Sinjeongdong and had a history of rape charge. Another challenge, though, he died in 2015 and his body was cremated.
Oh my gosh, so how did they get the DNA?
So they didn't let it go.
Okay.
They combed through 40 hospitals in the southern Gyeonggi area where he lived.
Okay.
And one hospital had a sample of his DNA.
Okay.
A match.
Oh my God, I have chills.
I did too.
Okay.
So legally, the suspect is dead. There's nothing that can be done. However, the police said they will, quote, chase murderers to the underworld if needed be, and saying that they will get to the truth no matter what.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chills. Okay, so what an amazing story. Amazing in the fact that they will chase them down.
And this is closure for the families. Absolutely.
All right, for our final story, U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing on with a peace plan for Ukraine.
Right, rapid developments happening in the war in Ukraine. Last week we ended a program on the news that U.S. and Russian envoys had drafted this peace plan. Trump has then set a deadline for Ukraine to accept this plan by this coming Thursday, so that would be U.S. Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, so what do we know about the points for this peace plan?
Right, so it's been leaked. It's a 28-point peace plan. We won't get through it all, but major point, Ukraine would need to cede. That means give up territory in the eastern Donbas region. The problematic thing is that Russia has not seized the entire territory in the war, so they would be giving up territory that they still have control over.
Yes.
Another issue, NATO. Ukraine has been trying to join NATO, but the 28-point peace plan says NATO would not station troops in Ukraine, which means Ukraine won't be able to be a part of NATO.
Yes.
And then for Russia's part, it would have a lot of its international sanctions lifted and be able to join the global economy, including the G8. It's been the G7 ever since Russia took over Crimea.
Yes, so where are the discussions now?
Right, discussions are ongoing, and Ukraine is in a tough spot because, number one, it does not want to cede territory. However, it does not want to alienate the United States.
Yes.
So we just ended day one of discussions in Geneva, Switzerland, as you said. We've seen a bit of change in attitude from U.S. President Donald Trump because up until last night, so that'd be U.S. time, Trump told reporters that America's plan was not a final offer. However, the president was more furious this morning, again, Washington time, when he attacked Ukraine, claiming that they had zero gratitude. And by the way, President Volodymyr Zelensky said he was very thankful, again, for U.S.'s role. But then, again, do they want to give up territory and NATO membership? So talks will have to continue. They will continue on to Monday.
I see. So, of course, this is an evolving, fluid situation. Thanks for the details on this, plus all the other stories, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we are ready for our first song break for this Monday morning. This is a song request from Benny, 괜찮아요 by B2B, and we'll be back after this.
어깨가 무겁나요? 무거운 짐을 내려놓기가 참 쉽진 않죠. 누군가 말했죠. 내 꿈이 멀게만 느껴질 땐 잠시 쉬다 가세요. 매일 같은 일상에 힘든가요? 그건 누굴 위한 거죠? 결국 또 쓰러질 텐데 힘들어 혼자라 느껴질 때 이 노래를 들어봐요. 기대해 즐겨듣던 그 멜로디 라디오에 흘러나올 그 목소리 내가 할 수 있는 건 노래 가사뿐이죠. 힘들어도 괜찮아 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 잘 될 거예요. I believe in you.
3년째 지어놓은 곳도 날 원하지 않는 삶이 이제 군대라도 가야 하나 싶었어. 부모님께 말씀드렸더니 딱 한마디 했어. 에휴 그래서 말 못했지 하던 알바도 잘렸다고 해. 어제는 제대 직전인 친구가 휴가 나왔어 하는 말이 무섭대. 대학서 배운 건 다 까먹었어. 실업자 100만 시대 그런 건 잘 모르겠고 그 숫자가 차라리 통장 잔고였으면 좋겠어. 시끄러운 알람이 새벽부터 날 계속 재촉해. 쫓기는 나선 집 밖은 틈없는 벼랑 끝 같아. 뭘 하고 있지 하니 뭘 해야 하지 답이 없는 메아리 나 왜 밖에서 치고 엄한 곳에 다 화풀이해. 좌표 없는 하늘이 방황하는 작은 종이배 억지로 눈물을 삼켜 어느새 한숨은 습관이 돼. 알아 나도 바보 같은 거 남 앞에서 괜찮은 척 겹치에 맑던 예전에 너 지금 어딨니?
It's time for Cultural Interlude. Michael's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very nice, thank you.
How was your weekend?
Busy. As always, as always. But I
Yes.
think I stayed up 5 nights in a row now because there's so much going on. Lots
Is it
of
work?
musicals. Yeah,
Oh my
just work.
gosh.
But it's fun, and I think that matters, right?
I envy you. It was due to like work. For me, it was like 집안일 work. 김장하는데 죽을 뻔했어요. 예.
근데 there's a saying in Korean. I mean, 피하지 못하면 즐겨라.
저는 안 즐겼는데요. 아니 무슨 동생이 뭐 김장하자고 자기가 알아서 뭐 다 한다고 했는데 like she ordered the 배추 and then she ordered this and that and then I was not the head chef. She was the head chef.
Okay.
So I was the 보조 chef or whatever. So she was just ordering me, 언니 do this, 언니 do that. And I was just like, 이러려면 네가 언니
So you
해라.
got ordered around.
Right.
And that's a different thing. That's
Right.
not related to work per se, but
It
it's
was
like
labor.
It was labor with a top-down system.
And then like I had to pay for the 찜질방 and the 세신 and then I was just like 배보다 배꼽이 더. I was just like so exhausted.
I thought we were
after.
talking about 김장. Why 찜질방 and 세신?
Because after we had 몸살. It was like so like laborsome. And then it was my
집안일에,
daughter and my niece that helped out too. And they were like complaining
Oh no.
that it was slave labor. So, I had to pay for their 입장료 too.
So this is the side effects of the 집안일's, right? It's not the work per se, but the
next year
side
just
effects.
buy the kimchi. Like
The
not
collateral
worth it.
damages that
not
come
worth
off
it.
it.
Not worth it. Yes. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
We're talking about food.
Oh yes.
Yes.
My
But
favorite
not,
topic.
Yeah, but maybe not. Because
Maybe
we're
not?
talking about
Okay.
food or cooking methods that you cannot stand. Like
Yeah.
for me, 물이 너무 많이 들어간 라면 그냥 젓가락 내려놔요.
Yeah.
Or like 불어 있는
어떤 느낌인지
라면.
알겠어요.
Or
불어 있는
like,
라면?
or like Haley said, 저는 이해가 안 되지만 저는 떡볶이 밀떡이든 쌀떡이든 상관이 없는데 she says like 떡볶이 밀떡은 용서할 수가 없대요. 용서가 안 된대.
용서 못할 정도는.
네, 그 정도래요. But then like is there something like you just cannot forgive? 너무 익힌 소고기. 그거는 저 용서 안 돼요. Like steak well done is not steak. Like 피가 나와야 돼.
나 하나 있어요.
What is it?
진짜 딱 바로 떠오르는 거 하나 있어요. It's cake, but made with cucumber.
What? 그런 게 있어요?
좀 세죠? Because
Cake
I actually
cucumber?
saw this on the way. It's somewhere in Busan for sure. I don't want to remember where it was, but I was just walking down the street looking,
Cake
just
cucumber?
passing by this bakery or something like that, and they were like, "오이 케이크 팝니다." I'm like, "What in the world is a 오이 cake?" Cucumber. I hate cucumber, by the way.
진짜. Yeah?
I'm a cucumber hater. And
잠깐만요.
there is a
우리 PD님 카메라 비치면 안 돼요? She said, can I do it on air? She said, I love cucumber. But not on a cake.
But there is a dedicated group of people who sincerely hate cucumbers.
Is it like 진짜 이렇게 갈리잖아요? Like 고수?
고수, cilantro,
Yeah.
But cucumber is like,
진짜
cucumber.
모임이 있어요?
I don't like it because of the smell. Like the very different, like it's got a very different smell, right? 약간 물 냄새인데.
그쵸. Cucumber is like 80%, 90% 물이잖아요.
Yeah, it's pretty much water.
Yeah.
But it smells weird. And but anyways, cucumber cake is not the way to go. Please don't.
Cucumber cake, I've never heard of that.
And like those
그건 좀 그래.
pile of cucumbers are on top of 냉면s and stuff. I don't like that either.
Really?
No. So if I'm with someone, I would be like, 이거 오이 먹을래? And I would just take the
You
chunk
give it
of
to me.
the cucumber.
펴주세요.
Yeah, I would give it to
Okay,
someone
okay.
who loves it.
Okay.
So-
쳐주세요. Okay.
Yeah. 오실모, 오이를 싫어하는 사람의 모임.
그런 거. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm learning so much
it's
right
on,
now.
face check. Yeah.
Now we know. All
yeah.
right. We're going to dive into cultural interlude. That was a culture in itself, though.
Yeah.
오이 싫어하는
We could
모임.
talk about that in
We
a
can.
separate session
Okay,
later.
But
for
that's
sure.
only if you come back next season. Dun dun dun.
Yes, this is
We'll
my
find
final
out
week
next
on
Monday at 7:35. We'll find out. Okay.
오늘 그래서 지금 재계약
네.
테스트 중이에요 지금.
네네네.
네, 잘해야 돼요. I have to really nail this one.
뚠뚠뚠. 디테일 미남 다음 주에 돌아올까요? 말까요?
제 디테일을 볼 수 있을까요?
네. all right. What's our topic?
Yeah.
Our
so,
final topic for this season, maybe.
for this season.
Yes.
So I come with a very, very interesting topic today. Because I want to get the 재계약,
What
right?
is it?
Today we're exploring the fascinating and sometimes very confusing world of Generation Z.
Oh.
Generation Z. So they're basically changing how we talk, how we act, and even how we rest. So I've been diving into some of the latest Gen Z trends, and today we're looking at 4 of them that really capture how this generation sees the world, sometimes quite literally.
우리 감독님 Gen Z 아니에요?
저는 millennial.
Okay.
So everybody, 근데 그런 게 있어요. I think there's an error in like an expression MZ generation. Basically, includes both
근데
millennials and Gen Z.
국내에서만 MZ라고 한대요.
우리나라에서만 그죠? In
우리나라에서만
Korea.
lump them together.
Which is weird because millennials and Gen Z are
so
very, very
different.
different generations.
There's a clear divide.
Yeah. I mean, 제가 이거 조사하고 있었어요. So I was studying the trends, right?
Okay.
And for me as a millennial, it is very, very strange. It is very alien to me. And here's the reason why. I'm just going to go with the first one.
Okay.
And just think
what is
about
it?
it. Waivers out there, please, 그냥 한번 생각해 보세요.
네.
There's let's start with something called the Gen Z stare. I'm sure a lot of you already heard about this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically you've probably seen this all over, social media, the whole blank stare thing. And it refers to when a young person responds to a question like
with
can I help you? Let's say if I ask you and you're Gen Z.
Okay.
I ask you, can I help you?
And I do
And the response is not with words, but just by staring silently at me for a few seconds.
just
Yeah. And give me like the hardest 5 seconds of my life, I don't know what to do about it,
just the cold stare.
Yeah, just a cold
blue
stare.
steel,
It started
the
as a meme, but it's actually based on real behavior, especially among Zoomers in Korea and the US and beyond. It's about cutting out the so-called performative politeness.
So instead of answering, they just basically look at you.
Yes, they stare at you, exactly.
Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
But interestingly, it's not meant to be rude. It's about conserving emotional energy. I don't know what that means. But there is an explanation, right? This is the explanation.
Okay.
It's about conserving emotional energy. Gen Z grew up constantly being watched on social media, in group chats, and everywhere, which is different from my generation and older. And that awareness makes them more intentional with their reactions. So they use silence as another kind of response. It's just like saying, I'm here,
Okay.
but I don't owe you an instant emotional performance. I'm like, wow, this is very different. Very different from our generation. I respect that, but it is interesting.
Like, I don't even owe you an explanation. Like, I'm just gonna not answer you.
Yeah, but it's not rude. It's not supposed to be rude. It's
not supposed to be, but it can be taken as rude. Because, like, for the non-Gen Zers, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. So there is clearly there is a generational clash. So for millennials like me or Gen X, the previous generation,
Yes.
silence feels awkward. For me, 저는 대화하다가 사이에 정적이 있으면은 그걸
Yes.
못 참아요. I have to talk, keep on talking.
Right.
For Gen Z, it feels authentic.
Right.
They see the stare as neutral, not rude, just efficient.
Yes.
In a way, Gen Z stare says, I acknowledge you, but I'll respond
Yes.
on my terms.
All right. Let's go to we're going to skip to the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this one?
So there is so this is, I think, a little bit weirder.
Okay.
Just being honest here. And it is called the brain rot culture. Okay?
Yes.
I keep seeing clips of people yelling, 6'7", 6'7".
And you got to do it with the...
Yeah, you gotta do it with the hand stuff,
hand.
like... I mean, if you look at the hands only, it feels like you're like, well, this and that, you know, 막 이거, 이것도 아니고 저것도 아니고 막 이런 느낌인데,
right.
it's not actually that, you know, like
know.
6, 7, 6, 7. It means nothing. 아무 의미가 없대요.
그니까요.
6, 7, 6, 7.
네.
And they just say it just because.
그리고 이거를 한국말로 하면 진짜 아무 뜻
이거
아니에요.
번역할 수가 없어요.
6767 아니에요.
진짜로. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6767 아닙니다.
네, 67
그냥
아니에요.
아무 의미가 없어요.
네.
It has no meaning. But just to give you context of how this came up,
Right.
it's 6, 7. The expression 6, 7 actually started from a meme with a random rap lyric.
Yes.
It says 6, 7. I just bit right on the highway. No one knows what it means, but it became a catchphrase for whatever. Or it is what it is. So it exploded on social media after a young kid shouted 6, 7, 6, 7 at a basketball game.
Right. There are theories.
Yeah.
Like some people say it's like one of the, was it LaMelo or one of the ball. There are ball meaning not basketball, LaMelo ball, or one of the ball kids. There are 3 ball brothers.
Okay.
It's so complicated. But their height is 6'7", and it's anyways. It's
yeah,
random.
I heard of this theory
Yeah.
about talking about this basketball player. I think it was.
Their height is 6'7", and I don't know. It's a meme though.
Yeah. But there are so many. But like, this is the point of expressions like this. Like basically, the Gen Z wants to confuse the previous generations.
Like
right?
AKA us.
And for me, as a millennial,
Yes.
millennial has like a very, very deep interest in analyzing things. We have to be able to understand what it is.
Like, what does it mean?
Yeah, like 무슨 뜻인데 알아야 돼. 이해를 할 수 있어야 돼.
근데 안
But
돼.
for Gen Z, it's not about understanding things. It's about confusing and like leaving the concept of understanding out of their brains. Right?
Yes.
That's the whole point of this. So, like, I'm just gonna give you like an example how to use 6, 7.
Right.
Because if you want to feel young, try this at home or
Okay.
somewhere. Like,
Okay.
How was your day? And I'd be like 6, 7. It's not really an answer. Like,
How was your weekend?
6, 7. But it doesn't mean that I was good. Or
What do you want for lunch?
6, 7.
Oh, it's so annoying. Yeah, I'm just
6, 7. 6, 7. There was actually one of the other cases where at a classroom in the U.S., one of the teachers had to ban the word 6, 7
Right.
because the students just started like shouting out 6, 7 for like the whole 5 minutes.
right.
And think about that. Like they just do it for no reason. And yeah, you can
That'd be so
imagine
annoying.
how annoying that could be.
Yes.
But anyways, that's part of a larger trend people call brain rot
Yes.
humor. So it's absurd, very random, and context free, and it's everywhere.
and we only have time for one more. The last one?
Yeah. So final one.
Yes.
There is the sober curious trend as well.
Yes, which
So
is?
they don't drink, basically. Gen Z, they are more cautious when it comes to drinking.
Yes.
But it's not just about like not drinking for health per se. For millennials like me, I enjoy drinking. But it's not a health issue for them. It's
What
for
is
them.
it?
It's a choice.
It's a choice
It's a
to
choice.
be sober.
Choice to be sober. And if you can drink, you can. But it has to be a choice that you make.
It's like a conscious choice. Like, I do not want to drink right now.
Yeah. So, for example, in the U.S., they have this campaign called the Dry January campaign, where the Zoomers, so the Zoomers comprise most of the participants for this campaign.
Yes.
And it's basically not drinking for the whole January month.
Yes.
But they do this not to stay healthy or anything, but just because they have the option.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice. So they still want the vibe. So like so another collateral effects that come off of this is there is a new rise of new alcohol-free bars.
Okay.
Yeah, which says if they can still enjoy the vibe,
right,
but not the hangover.
I got it.
Yeah. So these are some of the trends. We can go on and on, but we need a separate session for this.
Yes, so we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah.
And for those of you who love Michael, tune in next week to see if he survives and comes back next season. Thank you, Michael, for this season, and take care.
그동안 감사했습니다.
네.
올 수 있으면 좋겠습니다.
네, 저도요.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, this is Left, Right, Left by Charlie Puth, and I'll be back at 8.
Whoa, left, right, left. I'm moving on, I got no regrets. Whoa, left, right, left. I said times are changing, tell me how can I keep up? Every time I turn around there's a wall, but I'm climbing daily until I see the top. And I get up right after every fall. When you're broken hearted and your love's forgotten, yeah, you gotta walk alone, yeah, it's true. Flashing empty smiles, I've been lost for miles. Yeah, I know you felt this way before too. We're almost there, baby, one more step. Oh, left, right now. We're moving on, we got no regrets. Oh, left, right now.
Your best choice.
지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
좋아하는 일을 하며 자신만의 길을 걷는다면 얼마나 행복할까요? 빠르게 변하는 세상 속에서 교육은 내일을 향한 가장 가까운 첫걸음입니다. 한 걸음 먼저, 꿈은 더 크게. 지금 부산의 38개 직업계 고등학교에서는 배움을 넘어 꿈을 현실로 만들기 위한 학생 학생들의 도전이 이어지고 있습니다. 내일의 날을 준비하고 있는 학생들의 힘찬 미래를 응원합니다. 이 캠페인은 다 함께 미래로 앞서가는 부산교육, 부산광역시 교육청이 함께합니다.
부울경의 미래, 부산, 울산, 경남 방송발전협의회 운영위원장 성현우입니다. 북극 항로의 핵심지는 어디일까요? 대한민국 해양 수도권 부산, 울산, 경남입니다. 북극 항로를 품고 세계로, 부산, 울산, 경남이 하나로 뭉칩시다.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is Spotlight News. South Korea confirmed to host a 2028 G20. President Lee Jae-myung announced that South Korea will host a Group of 20 or G20 summit in 2028 and pledged a profound sense of responsibility to strengthen the forum's role in global economic cooperation. He made the announcement at a G20 session in Johannesburg, South Africa, where he also unveiled plans for international cooperation on artificial intelligence or AI for equitable access to AI's benefits. He has wrapped up his trip in South Africa and has departed for Turkey or Turkey on the final leg of his diplomatic trip, where he's expected to sit down with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. President meets with leaders of Japan and China and reaffirms cooperation. President Lee Jae-myung sat down with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and Chinese Premier Li Qiang, respectively, to reaffirm his commitment to deepening cooperation with the neighboring countries on the sidelines of the G20 summit. In the meeting with Takaichi, the two leaders reaffirmed the importance of bilateral relations and the need for future-oriented cooperation, said the presidential office. In his meeting with Li Qiang, he called for the two countries to push for cooperation that would contribute substantively to support the livelihoods of people in both nations. He also sat down with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva earlier on Sunday local time. Cho-guk back as leader of Rebuilding Korea Party. Former Justice Minister Cho-guk has been elected back as the leader of minor Rebuilding Korea Party yesterday in a landslide 98.6% victory, following his pardon and reinstatement earlier this year. In his victory speech, Cho vowed to forge an uncharted new path different from the two major parties, with the people's will as the party's compass. The new party leader presented introducing real estate reforms, including introducing the concept of public land ownership and constitutional reform as the party's top priority. Korean won's real effective exchange rate at 16-year low. The South Korean won's real effective exchange rate, or REER, sank to the lowest level in about 16 years as of the end of October. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS data released by the Bank of Korea, showed that the won's REER reached 89.09 at the end of October, marking the weakest level in 16 years and 2 months since August 2009. Among the BIS-listed 64 countries, South Korea's REER was the third lowest, trailing behind Japan's 70.41 and China's 87.94. U.S., Ukraine, and EU hold talks in Geneva over Ukraine peace plan. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says a tremendous amount of progress has been made in talks to finalize a Ukraine peace deal in Geneva, attended by delegates from the U.S., Ukraine, and European allies. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump said Ukraine's leaders have shown zero gratitude over U.S. efforts to end the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country was grateful to the U.S. and Trump, but added that peace must be dignified. The 28-point plan has been criticized by Europe as being favorable to Russia, including Ukraine ceding parts of its territory. Talks will continue on Monday, local time. This was Spotlight News. It's time for Waglwa글. Haley's back.
Hello.
Yes. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's with the hate with the milk and the...
Oh my God.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're called rice cakes.
For a reason?
Sal. We're Korean. We farm, harvest, cultivate rice. This is a matter of national pride. Dude,
Just asking. I was curious.
I mean, thank you. Thank you for giving me this soapbox platform to spew my flour cakes are pancakes. Go get your pancakes elsewhere.
Okay, so
I'm
that's
done.
how much you're
I
against.
respect everyone's choices. Everyone should have a free will, but then not if you're eating with me.
Okay, so 떡볶이는 항상
쌀떡이죠. 떡이 쌀이죠.
Just curious.
I'm so sorry. But
Sorry for asking.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Now, let's start with the Shinan ferry accident. The first maid and the first mate and the helmsman have been put under arrest, right?
Right. So, of course, they were put under urgent detention initially, but the arrest warrant has been approved.
Yes.
By the Mokpo branch of Gwangju Regional Court, they approved the arrest warrant for the first mate and the helmsman. They're facing charges of serious negligence resulting in injury, and that's been filed by the Coast Guard. So these two face allegations of having been distracted, including the first mate allegedly looking up news on his cell phone when he was supposed to be steering the ship and had put the ship on autopilot during these in these narrow waters, and that led to him and the ship missing a turn and the ferry basically getting mounted on top of an uninhabited islet.
Right.
And this ferry at the time was carrying 267 people. The captain, too, however, he's been booked for not steering the ship himself in narrow waters. Apparently, that's in violation of the law as well.
Okay.
The captain is said to have been taking a break in the captain's room at the time of the accident. The first mate did admit to his mistakes and apologized for causing people harm on his way into the warrant hearing, including especially to the expectant mother who was on board.
Yes. And speaking of the passengers, there is some controversy over what they are being offered for the accident.
Right. So the company that owns the ship, the Queen Genovia II, is the Sea World Ferry. They've presented their compensation plans, but they've been under scrutiny for basically not being enough. So according to text messages that were sent to the passengers from the company, the passengers will be getting a full refund for the fare, but only a 20% refund if they had their vehicles on board, which they pay separately, 20%. And then also the company offered vouchers for a 2-night stay at this resort in Jeju.
Okay, so full refund seems like a given, but the 20% refund for vehicles is what people are likely upset about.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ferry crashed. Well, not crashed, but it was mounted on. It ran into an island.
It ran aground.
It ran aground, and they had to be rescued.
Right.
It was an alarming time.
It was an ordeal.
The ferry company also, there's an interesting, they said that their offer actually goes beyond what is stipulated in the terms and conditions. So they're basically saying we're doing more than what we need to. Well, what do the terms say?
Okay.
Apparently, they only have to give a 20% refund on the passenger fare in case of an accident, but the company is saying, well, we've decided to give a full refund given the inconvenience that was caused to the passengers. I mean, keep in mind, no one was seriously injured, but inconvenience seems a little bit of an understatement.
Right.
The compensation measures also currently don't include hospital fees. I mean, they did have to go in for medical checkups, nor compensations for emotional distress. Also, the hotel voucher, it's been pointed out, is for a resort that's an affiliate, 제휴업체, of the ferry company. So some are wondering if there is an ulterior motive, or at least where are they getting kind of a better economic deal on this. The ferry, by the way, has been suspended until at least the end of the year.
I see. Well, up next, this story baffled many people online over the weekend. A teenager who set fire to her phone. Home.
That's
over,
not a typo.
Right, to her home over a smartphone. So I'm kind of like baffled. Like, how did that happen?
So it's just a middle school student, 14 years old, living in Gwangju, allegedly set fire to her home.
Right.
Because her guardians wouldn't upgrade her phone.
Oh my gosh.
So she apparently wanted a cell phone that would allow her to go on social media. So presumably she has a non-smartphone, wants a smartphone. The guardian wouldn't. The 14-year-old girl on Thursday night last week allegedly set fire to her bedding using a lighter inside an apartment in Bukgu, Gwangju.
Oh my gosh. So how extensive was the damage?
So no one was hurt, first of all. Seriously hurt. The fire burned some of the appliances and it burned through her room.
Yes.
The parts of her home as well. But the firefighters were able to put it out after about 20 minutes. However, here's the thing. The apartment was older, built back in 1996. What that means, this was before sprinklers were mandatory, so they did not retroactively fit them with sprinklers.
Yes.
So because of that, smoke went all around, and 17 residents had to be taken to the hospital and treated for smoke inhalation.
Yes.
70 people had to evacuate. The police did book the girl for an investigation, and they requested an arrest warrant. Rare given she's 14, but she apparently had priors for a different reason, but she was under juvenile monitoring. It doesn't seem, because the wording on the article was guardian, doesn't seem it was a biological parent.
I see. Okay.
But the court rejected the warrant because, again, she is 14.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to our next story. You know, Italians, well, we all are, but Italians are very especially proud of their cuisine. And this particular dish, carbonara, has taken a life of its own outside Italy to the chagrin of many carbonara purists.
Now outraged, but I do have to say we not love, and this is full respect and love of Italian food, but because how ubiquitous it is globally, it gets upgraded, they would say downgraded. It gets changed. Americanos. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian pizza, I suppose. And carbonara, because if you're getting carbonara, what are you expecting? Waivers.
Let's be honest. Like here in Korea,
it's
like lots of
cream. Right. So, because we think of carbonara as a cream-based pasta, but the first thing Italians will tell you, no cream.
Right.
Only egg yolks, not even whites, and cheese with some pork. And there's very specific guidelines as to what pork. We'll get to that. There are rules, that is to say. Of course, creamy carbonara is ubiquitous outside of Italy. And Italians have, I wouldn't say come to peace with it, but they tolerate it. They get it. But then when jars of creamy carbonara sauce appeared at the shelves of a grocery store within the European Parliament, there was the line.
They drew a line.
Dun,
literally.
Dun, dun.
So tell us more about the sauce and why it's problematic.
All right, because no self-respecting Italian company would make this. The jars of the creamy carbonara was made in Belgium, and it was sold on the market inside the EU Parliament, which is located in Brussels.
Okay.
So this had apparently a few culinary crimes.
Okay.
Number one, it's creamy. Yes. It also uses pancetta instead of guanciale, which is pork jowl. So it uses the wrong cut of the pork.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the location matters because the European Parliament is an institution that Italy actually calls on to protect traditional foods and the imitation. So that was the where. According to, and this goes to the top, agricultural minister of Italy, Francesco Lollobrigida, has called for an immediate investigation. On his Facebook, wrote, leaving aside the pancetta in the sauce, all the products represent the worst of Italian-sounding products, and that it is unacceptable to see them on the shelves of the European Parliament supermarket.
Okay.
And he says it's a matter of national pride. The European Parliament says that the product has been removed from the market shelves.
But there's actually a bigger reason for this outrage.
Right. So Italy's because currently trying to have its cuisine be recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage humanity product. And by the way, a decision is expected in December. Because all these Italian-sounding foods across the world, number one, they water down the authenticity of one of the most important aspects of Italian culture.
Right.
And we get it as Koreans. I mean, not my whatever spew on 밀떡 and 쌀떡, but kimchi as well. Even hanbok as well. Very sensitive, but also economic. Because if people are buying Belgium, Italian creamy carbonara sauce, and then Italian farmers and manufacturers are actually losing out on that profit. How much? 120 billion euros a year, according to an agricultural lobby group. Yeah.
That got me thinking about like Italian and pizza. You know what I can't stand? Koguma.
I knew it.
Koguma, anything on my pizza, especially the sweet koguma paste in the crust.
Oh, because I was going to ask, what about the crust? It's pretty good in the crust.
No,
okay,
we just
won't eat together.
No. You can have the koguma crust. How about that?
그래요?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can share the pizza, right?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for all the woggly news. We'll check in with you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's get to your updated traffic and weather. It's now 8:15. Here's your traffic update. There is an accident on the Dongso overpass going away from the city on Hwangyang Ramp. There's also there was an accident on Pyeongno going away from the city right past Oryun Tunnel. It's been cleared, but there is still backup ensuing. It's congested on Mandakdero from Sukdong to Deokcheon intersection. Also backed up on Gwanmun-dero from Pangnam to Baegang Tunnel. And it's slow moving on Chungjang-dero from pier number 5 to pier number 3. And it's currently 11 degrees under partially cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 18 degrees. Across the nation, light rain across the capital area, but there is a dry air special report issued across the eastern coast of Gangwon and Gyeongbuk. So please be careful when handling open flames. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for a special interview. Tensions between China and Japan have risen sharply over remarks about a possible conflict in Taiwan. So, Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi stated that if China were to take Taiwan by force, Japan would intervene militarily. And Chinese authorities responded that her comments triggered strong public anger in China. And the foreign ministry suggested potential retaliation, including a ban on Japanese seafood imports and travel restrictions for Chinese citizens. And then on November 22nd, the dispute escalated even further with the Chinese embassy in Tokyo posting on social media an accusation of Japan reviving militarism. So both sides are trading accusations and historical references. It seems the diplomatic rift between the two sides might be widening. So today we want to discuss this emerging issue with an expert guest. Joining us today is Ms. Emma Chandler-Avery, Deputy Director of the Asia Society Policy Institute's Washington, D.C. office and the Director for Political Security Affairs, and she's served for 20 years as a specialist in Asian affairs at the Congressional Research Service. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hi, Catherine. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's remarks on political military involvement in a Taiwan contingency. It seems to have these remarks have sparked strong reactions from China. So from the perspective of Japanese domestic politics, what might have motivated her to make this statement so early on in her term?
Thanks for the question. And sharp is, I think, sort of an understatement about China's reaction. It's been quite vicious, their attacks to Takaichi specifically for these remarks. I don't know that Prime Minister Takaichi was calculated at all in making these comments. It was in response to an opposition leader in the Diet or the Parliament session. And I think that she just answered straightforwardly. But it's very different to make comments like that about Taiwan as prime minister, as opposed to being, sort of a firebrand lawmaker. But now she's the leader of Japan, and these words are taken very seriously. And she may have been a little bit, not as careful as leaders in the past have been in terms of talking about Taiwan and any Japanese involvement in a contingency in the Straits.
Yes. And so in terms of her making these remarks, do you think that it was maybe her novelty, she has maybe not grown into her role as prime minister?
I think that that's probably part of it. She's somewhat untested. She's brand new. She's had a whirlwind first few weeks in office after some drama with her actually being elected. But that said, she's actually earned pretty high marks on the diplomatic front. Hosting President Trump in Tokyo shortly after she was elected, going to APEC in Korea and meeting with all the leaders there. So I think that this was just a moment where she may have been caught off guard. But there's some other elements about domestic politics that I think is important to point out here. First of all, Komeito was a junior coalition partner of the LDP. I'm getting a little bit in the weeds here. But that party left, partly in response to Takaichi being the leader. And Komeito had deep ties with China going way back. And without them in the coalition, the ruling coalition, Japan no longer has those channels to sort of smooth over some of these diplomatic rows that occur from time to time. And the new coalition partner, Ishinokai, they're also sort of untested in terms of foreign policy expertise. So I think that part of the reason that we found ourselves at this impasse is that you don't have sort of the traditional back channels to Beijing.
Yes. And how are these developments being viewed by the Japanese public and also those within the political sphere?
Well, this is a tricky question to answer, but I think that as a setting, the concern over Taiwan and China's aims on Taiwan has been, a deep concern among the political elite for a long time and a central issue to the U.S.-Japan alliance. But it's not usually spoken about quite as out loud. I think the Japanese public is at an interesting moment right now. There is increasing support for spending more on defense resources, as Takaichi has promised to actually accelerate. There is concern about the growing threat environment. It is a harsh security environment around Japan right now. But that said, the Japanese are also concerned about, I think, the public at large getting caught up in any sort of military conflict. There are still some strains of pacifism that run through the Japanese public. And I think that Japanese leadership has not really had the conversation with the Japanese public that would be necessary if you were looking at all in Japan being more involved.
And if we can turn to China right now, Emma, in terms of its its response. Already, we've heard about China, for example, encouraging airlines to offer refunds for Japan-bound flights, issuing travel advisories. The response has been pretty strong, as an understatement. What do you think Beijing is trying to signal, or not even signal, just outright say right now?
I mean, Beijing is going all in on this response. And I think that, first of all, it is a signal, not just to Japan, but to the United States and to other countries, that it is taking anything on Taiwan that particularly crosses a line into involvement very, very seriously. And I also think that, the talk about seafood imports and tourism going down, I mean, this is Beijing's playbook. They're very good at economic coercion. They hold tremendous leverage in terms of trade with Japan, as well as with South Korea. I mean, just think about going back to 2022 and the controversy over the THAAD missile battery in South Korea. South Korea suffered tremendously economically after the boycotts by Chinese consumers on Korean companies. So this is, I'm sure, very familiar to those in South Korea as well.
Indeed. And so in terms of the restriction on Japanese seafood imports, how big of an economic impact or political impact would this have on Japan?
I mean, I don't have the data in front of me of what that really means. I mean, keeping in mind that they'd actually stopped seafood imports for a while, so supposedly due to safety issues from the Fukushima Daiichi plant. I think it's still significant to Japan's economy. The tourism numbers are also significant. But where we would really see an escalation is if China started to threaten to restrict the export of critical minerals, rare earth metals, which they did in the past. And that would signify a real escalation and an intention to deny Japan some of the really critical materials that it needs.
Indeed. And in terms of the U.S.-Japan alliance, how might this alliance be impacted at all if, in terms of responding to this heightened tension between China and Japan?
Well, it's a great question, and one that those of us who follow the U.S.-Japan alliance closely are watching. The problem in terms of being an analyst in this area is that we don't really know what the Trump administration's Indo-Pacific strategy is, what its policy on China and therefore on Taiwan in many ways is going to be. So without that in place, it's really hard to know. But I do think that, for years, American leaders and Japanese leaders have been very careful about maintaining an approach of strategic ambiguity, is what it's called, where you don't say explicitly whether or not you would come to Taiwan's defense in the event of a contingency.
Yes.
And, Takaichi really took a different approach here. I mean, it was a hypothetical question, which she shouldn't have answered probably if she was had practice, I think, in responding to this. So I don't think that she changed the policy of Japan or of the U.S.-Japan alliance, but she's changed the rhetoric. And in a situation this delicate, that's still really important.
I see.
So that said, I mean, I do think that there's a potential for the U.S. and Japan strategies to be a little bit misaligned here. It's a brand new relationship, of course, between Trump and Takaichi, and we're still getting to know one another, I guess. But this is really sort of Takaichi wading into this issue may not be helpful for those who are watching the alliance really closely. And of course, China loves to drive wedges between the U.S. alliances in the Indo-Pacific. So if there is daylight, then they will probably try and exploit that.
And so this escalating rhetoric, how does it affect the broader regional security environment, particularly in the Taiwan Strait and East Asia in a broad way?
Well, the region is very nervous about,
Right.
U.S. China strategic competition. They're nervous about an actual military conflict. They're nervous about, that destabilizing dynamic that's in place now. They're also very worried about having to choose sides here.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking particularly of Southeast Asia, Pacific Islands. They do not want to have to choose Beijing or Washington in this competition. So it can't be good news for the region in terms of long-term or medium-term or short-term stability.
Absolutely. And for South Korea, it's always a conundrum, but especially when we have China and Japan on the radar, and then always U.S. in the mix as well. It's always a precarious situation. So what impact could the escalating tensions between China and Japan have on South Korea, both economically and in terms of regional stability?
Well, there's a number of ways to look at that. I mean, first of all, South Korea, like the rest of the region, is not interested in weighing in on one side or the other.
Right.
And it also could put some tension, some pressure on the Tokyo-Seoul relationship, which of course has been going shockingly well in the last couple of years, particularly with a progressive leader in Seoul and a very conservative leader in Tokyo. It really seems like there's been a pragmatism to the relationship, a recognition, I think, that the stakes are just much higher given the incoming threats to both countries. So I think that if Beijing takes advantage of this by asking Seoul to weigh in one way or another, then that could put a lot of pressure on that relationship as well as the trilateral relationship between the United States, Japan, and South Korea.
Right, right. Well, of course, we're going to keep an eye on this situation, hoping that things don't escalate any further. But thank you so much for explaining it thoroughly to our listeners and viewers. Thanks for joining us today, Emma. We do appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
This was Miss Emma Chandler-Avery talking about the tensions between China and Japan, the effects in the immediate region, and of course, how it affects South Korea in a broader context. We'll keep an eye on the situation once again. We're going to take a little song break as well. This is 네 생각 by John Park.
아침에 눈을 뜨면 네 생각이 나 창밖을 바라보다 네 생각이 나 그렇게 멍하니 또 하루가 흘러가 너도 날 가끔씩은 떠올릴까 네 생각이 나 어느새 내 주변의 모든 건 익숙한 향기로 너에게 물들어 화초에 꽃이 피어 네 생각이 나 예쁜 걸 볼 때마다 네 생각이 나 내 취향은 아니지만 네가 좋아하는 그 노래만 하루 종일 흥얼거려 네 생각이 나 사랑이 내게도 찾아왔나 봐 내 주변의 모든 건 처음 보는 색으로 내 맘처럼 피어나 부르던 하늘에 무지개 빛이 나 갈라진 골목길도 모네의 그림 같아 나를 내가 봐도 참 우습기만 하지만 어쩔 수 없나 봐 하루 종일 바보처럼 네 생각이 나 그렇게 멍하니 또 하루가 흘러가 아침에 눈을 뜨면 네 생각이 나 양치를 하다가도 네 생각이 나 오오오. 그렇게 멍하니 또 하루가 흘러가 너도 날 가끔 보니까 네 생각이 나 오오오. 화초에 꽃이 피어 네 생각이 나 커피를 마시다가 네 생각이 나 이렇게 변한 나를 내가 봐도 참 우습기만 하지만 어쩔 수 없나 봐 온종일 바보처럼 네 생각이 나 네 생각이 나 네 생각이 나
It's now time for News in Depth. We have our BFM newscaster, Claire, in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so I was saying off air, we have a waiver, Hisung-nim, who says that we had Michael Kang on earlier who's talking about cucumber cake. Because our text topic today is food that you would not be, that you can't stand, you can't tolerate. And then he mentioned he saw somewhere cucumber cake. 그건 좀 별로일 것 같다. Oh, not right.
not
근데
for me.
희숙님은 she says she's willing to taste the cucumber cake.
I like cucumber.
Me too,
the
but
fresh cucumber.
yeah, but not the cake, right?
Not the cake. Not with the cake.
피디님, cucumber cake? 여기까지 들리죠? You can hear the disgust in her. 그 케이크는 좀 그렇죠. What is something that you would not want to try, or something that you really can't stand? Like, and then like I think Tommy was mentioning also 물에 들어간 닭은 그냥 싫대요. Like 삼계탕 싫대요.
Oh, that's fine.
That's
For
fine,
me,
yeah.
That's fine. But I don't like any cooked fruit or like cooked.
Cooked fruit.
Like cooked fruit or like.
The cooked
only
vegetables.
like fresh, like tomatoes, cucumbers, or.
It has to be fresh.
Fresh, just
like
by
crunchy.
itself, like cucumber stick, it's okay.
but not
even
cooked.
muchim, Korean like cucumber muchim.
오이 무침도 싫어요?
Cucumber like kimchi, don't like it.
You don't
Only
like
cucumber sticks.
Interesting.
Even fruits on the cake, I don't like it because they're on the syrup on it.
So you don't like the, what is it called? The 탕후루?
Oh, no.
No.
My friend tasted it and then texted me. This is the most like thing you will hate.
Because there's syrup all over
She
it.
was like, yes. She's like, this is the right thing that you will hate the most in the world.
Okay. It has to be fresh.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So if you want to irk Claire, send her some 탕후루. All right, we're going to jump into some news. We're going to begin with our lead story. Something that affects many households directly. There's been a notable shift in the lending environment. People trying to get mortgages or even credit loans are suddenly hitting walls. So what's driving this?
So the core issue is that the major banks have already exceeded the household loan growth limits set for 2025 this year, and they reached those limits much earlier than expected. Between January and November 20th, the four major banks increased their household lending by 7.8953 trillion won, when their official limit was 5.9493 trillion won. So that's almost 33% over the cap.
Wow. And this is after regulators tightened the rules earlier in the year.
Exactly. In the June 27 measures, the government told banks to sharply reduce their second half loan growth plans, almost by half. The banks submitted new, smaller targets, but demand didn't go down. By November, the actual loan growth had already blown past even the revised limits.
So the question is, what kept demand so high? I mean, why didn't the tightened rules like kind of slow the flow?
So there are two major drivers. First one, delayed mortgage execution. So housing deals signed before the October 15 measures are being executed now. So mortgages typically follow 1 to 3 months after a sales contract.
Okay.
So the pipeline kept moving even as policy tightened.
Okay.
And the second one, intense credit loan activity. So people sought credit loans for two reasons. First one, housing contract payments when they couldn't get enough mortgage financing.
Right.
And second one would be investment funds for domestic and overseas stocks, especially with market volatility.
So even if the rules changed, the pipeline of loans was already kind of in motion.
Indeed. And because the numbers kept rising, banks had to take very quick, very visible actions.
Such as shutting down application channels.
Yes, so here's what happened. On the 22nd, one major bank blocked new online mortgage applications for loans scheduled to execute this year. It also halted refinancing loans, such as mortgages, 전세 loans, credit loans from other banks. It even suspended its own online credit loan products. And starting today, the 24th, it stopped accepting in-person applications for mortgages that would be executed in this year.
Okay. And we have a major bank doing something similar starting tomorrow.
Right. From November 25th, tomorrow, they will restrict new mortgages and 전세 loans for the rest of the year.
Wow. So what happens to borrowers who are now trying to move, to the banks that are still open?
Well, that's the problem. Two other major banks say if the inflow surges because others closed, we may tighten too. So borrowers could see a chain reaction where restrictions spread across banks simply because people are rushing from one to another.
So even though we're approaching year end, meaning, end of the year, when lending usually cools,
That's right.
this time demand is doing the opposite.
Completely the opposite. As of November 20th, household loans at 5 major banks would be 769 over trillion won. Increase this month alone would be around 2.7 trillion won. Daily increase was around 133 billion won, fastest since July.
Yes, and credit loans seem unusually strong.
Extremely strong. Credit loans are up to almost 1.4 trillion won. So far this month, on track for the biggest monthly rise in 4 years. Borrowers who can't get enough mortgage financing are covering contract money with credit loans, and some are using them for investment, especially with overseas market rebounding.
I see. So the takeaway here is caps are exceeded,
Already.
restrictions expanding, but demand is still accelerating.
Exactly. And because housing market regulations are expected to remain tight into early next year, banks say January may not bring the usual relief they normally get with new annual caps.
I see. So not a good time, I guess.
Something has to keep in mind, yes.
All right, now let's move to our next topic. So we're going to talk about government consumption coupons. So I guess this is the final week?
Yes, and time is running out. The first and second rounds of consumption coupons expire at midnight on November 30th.
Yes.
After 12 midnight on that day, any unused balance simply disappears.
Okay.
It doesn't roll over. It can't be refunded.
Yes, and there's actually a pretty small percentage left unused, correct?
Exactly. As of November 16th, total coupon amount used would be over 9 trillion won. Already spent would be 8.8 trillion won. Usage rate was 97.5. So almost all of it is already used, but the remaining 2.5% still adds up to hundreds of billions of won.
Yes, and the government really wants that remaining 2.5% to be used before the deadline.
Yes, officials say the coupon have already boosted local neighborhood economies, especially small shops and service businesses. To finish the job, they're pushing reminders through text messages, official apps, websites, and the National Secretary Notification Service. They're directly targeting people who still have unused balance.
Right, and some people might not even know that they have these unused amounts, right?
Indeed, that's the government's concern because the coupons were distributed through credit and debit cards. Balances can be forgotten unless people deliberately check their card statements or app notifications.
Right, and once the deadline hits, basically that money's gone.
Completely gone. So the system is designed so that unused amounts automatically expire after midnight on November 30th. The ministry is urging people to check balances early in the week. Use the coupons at regular stores before the weekend rush.
Okay.
Avoid leaving it until the last evening when systems may experience delays.
Yes, and the reason the government is so insistent is because the impact is local. We're talking about street level, neighborhood level spending.
That's right. Officials credit the coupons with helping revive local commerce, restaurants, convenience stores, mom and pop shops. They want the remaining balance spent because the purpose of the program is to convert every possible one into real economic activity, not let it vanish unused.
Absolutely. So once again, please check your balances. All right, next, workplace conditions for foreign workers is our next topic. And these findings are striking. What did inspectors find?
So the Labor Ministry conducted 2 rounds of intensive inspections this year in April and September, targeting 196 workplaces classified as vulnerable. They found violations at 182 of them. That's 93%, nearly every site inspected.
So what kind of violations are we talking about?
So there are a wide range. First, assault or discriminatory treatment at 10 workplaces.
Okay.
Wage arrears totaling 1.7 billion won across 123 workplaces. Long working hours beyond legal limits at 65. And failure to provide rest breaks or days off at 22 workplaces. So inspectors described many of these as basic labor rights violations.
Well, unfortunate to hear about. Were any of the cases severe enough for criminal investigation?
Yes, there were several. For example, a workplace accused of physically assaulting foreign workers for production mistakes or working too close to dangerous equipment, or a company that failed to pay 110 million won in wages to 25 workers since last December and ignored correction orders.
Oh my goodness. And some of the issues fell under the Foreign Workers Employment Act?
Correct. Violations include not enrolling workers in mandatory insurance, including departure guarantee insurance, or inadequate dormitory facilities, and using foreign workers without proper employment permits.
Yes.
So 3 workplaces now face restrictions on future permits for that reason.
Okay, so what's being done to resolve the wage arrears?
So of the 1.7 billion won owed to almost over 2,700 workers, around 1.27 billion won has already been repaid at 103 workplaces after government guidance. So the rest is under follow-up.
I see. Thanks for reporting on this story. Let's move to our final story. We're going to turn to Brazil, where the COP30, this year's UN Climate Conference, wrapped up over the weekend. But the outcome seems to have stirred up a lot of mixed reactions. So walk us through what happened.
Sure. COP30 took place in Belém in the Amazon region, and it actually ran 1 day longer than scheduled. Delegates finally reached a joint declaration on November 22nd, but the final text does not include any direct reference to phasing out fossil fuels like oil, coal, or gas.
Yes, and that was supposed to be one of the central issues this year, right?
Exactly. There was a lot of anticipation that COP30 might produce a more explicit roadmap for transitioning away from fossil fuels, something the international community has been debating for years.
Yes.
But the negotiations hit strong pushback from several major oil-producing countries, which ultimately shaped the final outcome.
So, what is included in the final declaration?
So there are three major commitments. First one, tripling adaptation finance by 2035, meaning the funding available to help countries cope with climate impacts like sea level rise, storms, and droughts.
Okay.
Second one was launching a new voluntary initiative to speed up climate action needed to stay within the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature goal. And third one, a line opposing unilateral trade measures such as carbon border-related tariffs, saying climate policies should not become tools for arbitrary or discriminatory trade restrictions.
Yes. So adaptation funding and implementation are in, but the whole fossil fuel discussion, that's out.
Exactly. And that mission mattered. Many countries, especially in Europe and among small island states, were looking for explicit language on fossil fuel transition.
Right.
That's because back at COP28 in Dubai, countries formally acknowledged for the first time that the world needs to transition away from fossil fuels, but they didn't agree on timelines or methods. COP30 was supposed to take that next step, and it didn't.
Yes, and what happened during the negotiations? I mean, was it a deadlock or what happened?
Well, for a while, yes. Brazil, as the host country, initially pushed for a clear fossil fuel exit roadmap, but major oil producers, most prominently Saudi Arabia and Russia, strongly opposed including any fossil fuel reference at all. This made it extremely difficult for negotiators to reach consensus because UN climate agreements must be unanimous.
Yes. And then in terms of the U.S., I hear that the U.S. did not send a federal level delegation this year because this was of importance, correct?
Yes, correct. This was the first time the U.S. did not send a federal delegation to a COP meeting, and that absence was widely noted. Several observers suggested the lack of U.S. representation may have weakened momentum behind stronger commitments.
Right. So to sum it up, declaration was reached, but not the declaration that many wanted or expected.
That's exactly the takeaway. COP30 ended with agreement, but also disappointment, and the global conversation on fossil fuel transition remains unresolved.
All right. So thanks for all the news in depth for this Monday morning.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Claire. Take care.
I'll see you next week.
All right, everybody. It's a wrap on our program for this last Monday, can you believe, of November. And I wish you a very safe Monday. We're going to go out with this song, I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, wishing you a wonderful Monday. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.